Welcome, generals, to Red Rivers Gaming and my legendary Confederate campaign. In this video, I'm going to be giving a quick chat about my strategic overview in this campaign. Now, in the legendary battles, in the legendary campaigns, you essentially have, from I can tell, two different types of strategies that you can follow. Okay, the first strategy is to develop an army which is highly skilled and highly armed. Okay, very well armed. Okay, units usually are quite small and require lots of micromanagement. Okay, so in this strategy, career points that you want to hammer on are spent heavily on medicine, economy, and training. Therefore, cheaper weapons and cheaper veterans so that you can build that very experienced army. Um, reputation is almost always spent on buying good weapons for your army, and the army will normally have lots of specialty units, especially sharpshooters, really good artillery, and cavalry units. The second strategy that you can play the legendary campaign is to build essentially an enormous sized army with large infantry units, which you use to overwhelm your opponent. Okay, so the priority of veterans and good weapons take a second seat to large amounts of men with the best weapons available. In this kind of scenario, your career points are spent on politics, medicine, and army organization, and with a big emphasis on army organization, so that you can get these guys up to 2,500 as quickly as possible. Okay, this army is basically an infantry army. It relies far less on artillery, sharpshooters, and cavalry. All right, what I am doing is a hybrid of the two, though it tends towards the mass army concept. In the campaign, I put much more importance on some of the specialty units, such as sharpshooters and artillery, than a normal person would. Okay, that is using the mass army concept. Okay, so what I am emphasizing is politics, medicine, and instead of really hammering on that army organization, I'm going to be going for economy, so that I can buy the best weapons as possible. When it comes to reputation, generally I am buying men. However, there are times when I do buy weapons, and that includes, for example, Whitworth. There's a time when you get Whitworths come up. I buy the Whitworths. And there are times when I can afford to also spend some points on Enfields. Okay, so it's kind of a hybrid army, as I say, of the two different types. Okay. Okay. In doing this, okay, it takes a longer time for my army to start to form the way I want it to have to fight, and um, and because of that, in the early battles, you see I get a lot of less than optimal results. So here, for example, we've now this for example is my army at Antietam, and now we're starting to see um, um, how I want my army to look. Okay, so if we look at the army, we notice that first of all, these guys, given my army organization, is only a max of 2,000. Okay, my 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 infantry divisions are maxed out at 2,000. They're the highest they can be. But notice I also have sharpshooters, and notice also how many sharpshooters I have. Okay, I have 500 sharpshooters. All right, and the way I use sharpshooters is kind of like I don't use sharpshooters like a lot of people do to go out and harass the enemy, to go find their artillery. I mean, I will do that, but I don't use them as independent units in general. I use them as light infantry that is going to support my battle line. Also, notice that I've pumped my artillery up to 16. Okay, now that is very much less than optimal. Okay, I believe the optimal size is somewhere around 12. And the problem with 16 is that if they have to start turning from here to there, from here to there, they do so very slowly. And what you want your artillery to do, of course, is to fire as much as possible. So that means that when I'm marching around these units of 16, it means that the placement of that artillery is going to be very important. So I either want to plop it down in a place that's just right in front of the army, my enemy, where it's just going to fire forward, okay, or in a place with my long range artillery, for example, where it can overlook the battlefield and not move, because the more you move, the less you fire. It doesn't matter how many guns you have. So even though the units are less optimal, for me, I'm I I'm liking large artillery batteries. Okay, the cavalry, you may have seen in earlier videos that I've put out so far on my legendary campaign. I've had up to 750. Okay, and the thing was to take casualties and and eventually get a second star. Okay, remember what I'm doing is I'm buying men, and then I'm reinforcing my men with recruits. I'm not reinforcing my men with veterans, and because the most important thing for me to spend my money is not on veterans, it's on weapons. Okay, and notice here, see this guy here. Look at how many points here he has. Um, he has a lot of points. Okay, his firearms is quite high. This guy's an overall really good unit. Okay, and when he gets into a battle, even if he takes a lot of hits, let's say this guy, I think he could go down to 17, 15, even 15, given that this goes up even a little bit more, and he'll be at 15. Let's say he's taken 500 casualties in the battle, and I'll be able to replace him with recruits, and he'll still maintain that second star. Okay. Um, the cavalry, the cavalry, in the end, I kind of give up on because these guys, these guys are, they're very mobile, um, and I tend to do silly things with them. So I get them shot up a lot, and as I go through the campaign, I put less reliance on the cavalry. So overall, you can see why my earlier battles, besides being poorly generaled, have gotten the results they have, and generally they're kind of poor results. What's going on is instead of maximizing to win every battle and to destroy the enemy to the limit, um, I find that that's not so important because they're no matter how badly you you maul the Union, they're going to come back with lots of troops. So as you go into the major battles, the Union is still going to have lots of troops, no matter how badly you maul them. Okay, they're so this army size here almost means not a lot. Okay, and they're training an armory. It's just not going to make much of a difference as you go through. I believe, in my opinion. Okay, no matter whether you're really in there slamming them or if you're getting a good result. Okay, those the training and armory, it's going to go get up into the 70% by the time you get to Washington, and there's just about um, nothing you can do about it. So I am building an army to get me to Washington, okay, and win in the long term. So therefore, I accept that many times I must accept less than optimum results. Hopefully, as my campaign unfolds, you'll start to see a little bit better um, the direction that I'm going with my campaign and with my army building, and you'll get a bit of a clearer vision as to what I'm trying to do. Like I say, it's kind of a hybrid form, so I am spending money on good weapons, and especially the sharpshooter weapons, for example, artillery. I am spending the money there. I'm not building a huge army, although I need a big army to go into Washington. And I just thought that was it was necessary for me to come out and give you basically a general strategic overview of fighting um, these these um, these battles, these campaign in um, the legendary uh, scenario, um, so that you have kind of an idea of what you're facing and what I am doing, especially in trying to move my army from the very beginnings at Potomac Fort to get that army, build that army up, and get it into Washington and win the campaign. So I hope you you are enjoying the campaign so far. I know it's not the kind of thing. A lot of the battles, are pretty poor, I guess I would call it. The results are not spectacular in many cases, um, but it's going to get me to Washington, So there's that. Hope you found this video interesting. And until next time, I'll see you later.